Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Tuba People TV, where we talk about Arnold Jacobs all the time. We're here in the Morningside area of Manhattan, would you say?
Yeah.
With Bud Burridge. Bud is a trumpet player here in New York City, trumpet player with the If Then show, as well as you play lead with the Radio City Music Hall Christmas Spectacular.
That's right.
Yeah, and just general freelancer in town.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks so much for having us in.
My pleasure.
One of the reasons that we came here was because in my correspondence with Bud, he told me that he had never had any direct lessons with Arnold Jacobs, but you attended several master classes and they changed your life. And so that's a very intriguing reply, and so I really wanted to come and find out what was that like. So
yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, it was, I always heard his name, and I think even some of my teachers in college mentioned his name, but I'd never got around to doing the trip to Chicago or to Northwestern and taking a lesson with him. But I'd been in New York for over a decade, and something prompted me. I think I read one of the books put together by his students, and it prompted me to get more interested in him. And I found out that he did this summer workshop for a week every June, I think, at Northwestern. And I thought, I was single at the time. I was pretty free to do whatever I wanted. I thought maybe I'd take a vacation to Chicago for a week and attend these clinics in the morning and hang out at the beach in the afternoon and go into the city. And I just thought it would be an interesting thing to do, and I'd probably learn something from it. I didn't think anything more than that. In fact, I almost backed out because I was offered some work that week that I didn't want to turn down. But in the end, I ended up going. And it was a lecture, basically, with some demonstrations here and there. But
this was at Regenstein at Northwestern?
Yes.
Okay.
I rented a car and showed up the first morning. And just was taking notes. I never really had a one-on-one lesson with him. I only spoke to him once while I was there. But yeah, it was a monumental experience in terms of changing my whole outlook on playing, and it made an immediate difference in my playing. In fact, I would run from the end of the lecture straight across the hall to the practice room and start blowing my brains out. And it's a significant difference just from hearing him talk and seeing the demonstrations, and it was not only informational but inspiring in numerous ways.
So instead of going to the beach, the Lake Michigan beach at 1 o'clock,
right,
when the master class was over, like you had originally planned,
yeah,
you went and practiced.
I'm not sure I ever made it to the beach, actually. And I only went into Chicago a couple nights. I think I was practicing in the evening too. It was just very inspiring.
What do you remember? Was there anything specific, or maybe more than one thing, specifics that were so inspiring, or how what was the fact?
I think for me, there were several things that hit me in particular. I think particularly about thinking of the sound, relaxing everything, and not working as hard, not working with as much effort. I don't remember if I was having any specific problems at the time, but it was just the whole approach to playing with a relaxed, organic kind of feel without any physical effort. I think was enlightening. I can think of a couple anecdotes that were eye-opening. I remember probably most of the audience. I don't think there were probably too many 40-year-old freelancers there, but there were a lot of younger players. Some of them had been auditioning for orchestras and things, and then there were a lot of educators there, I think. And he asked for a volunteer one day, and a young player came up and had said he was auditioning for different orchestras, and Mr. Jacobs said, "Well, play something you'd play on an audition." So he played the Promenade from Pictures in an Exhibition. It sounded great. He's obviously somebody who worked on this stuff, and everybody applauded. And then I don't even remember what Mr. Jacobs said, but for about 5 minutes or more, the kid didn't play another note. And the young man didn't play another note. And Mr. Jacobs was talking about breathing, and he might have had him do the exercises with the inhale and exhale or something. I can't remember. But finally he said, "Why don't you play the promenade again?" And he played it, and there was this audible sound in the audience, like, oh, like everybody was amazed. Even from 5 minutes before, they remembered how much better this sounded. The quality of the sound was just fuller and richer, and that alone would cause you to just go, like, there's something going on here. He's not just a teacher, he's not just a nuts and bolts kind of teacher. There was another incident where a guy who I think was an educator, and it was to his credit, he was coming here to learn more about brass playing,
right.
But he was obviously kind of, I don't know, academically or physically oriented, and he probably knew that Mr. Jacobs had studied the functions of the body, so like he knew everything that was going on when you take a breath and when you play a brass instrument. So he asked a question that he probably thought would be helpful. He said, would you mind discussing the role of the epiglottis in brass playing? And Mr. Jacobs said, I'd be happy to. And he paced a few steps and he looked around and said, totally disregard it. That was the answer, so he got a laugh. But it was a reminder that he although he knew everything about what he could have told you what the epiglottis does when you play the brass instrument, but it's insignificant. It's irrelevant to his approach to playing, which is about playing music and keeping the air moving and doing that. I think one of the most significant things that he made you realize was that don't think about whether you raise your shoulders or not, whether you expand here or what you're doing. Take in the air and then move it back out. And he got things down to such a basic level that and it sounds almost ridiculous how simple it is, but the way he described it and everything was, inspiring to everybody.
And so after the master class was over, was that, for the day, was that what you would go and try to affect in your own playing in the practice room, or?
Yeah, I don't even think I was trying that hard. I was just anxious to, and maybe the first day, I don't actually recall, but I remember just going in and my sound being bigger, and my range actually being better too. But it's mainly just because I was breathing more freely and using the air more economically than I had been before.
So just the watching and the taking in of the information, and then
wow. and that was the thing I think that was so inspiring, that I wasn't really involved in it. I wasn't really playing for him, or he wasn't criticizing my playing or helping me with my playing. He was just giving out information, but his information was so powerful that if it hit you right, you could see immediate results.
Wow.
At least I did. I felt really inspired by it.
That's great. But I'm wondering if you, if today on the job, if you still think about trying to affect that kind of inspiration.
Yeah. I think obviously the pure excitement of it has died down a little bit, but definitely whenever I start having some problems, however large or small, I immediately start thinking what's causing the problem, and it always has to do with air, which is standard procedure, I guess. But if you go back and think about the Jacobs stuff, it's usually pretty helpful. I did have another incident when my son's now 13. He was somewhere around 2. I had him on my lap one day, and he jumped up and banged me in the lip, and I got banged in the lip a lot. I've never really had some serious chop problems in my life. That day, I got my horn out later, and I couldn't get a vibration. Well, in fact, I didn't even know it was a vibration. I thought maybe my valves were wrong or something. I couldn't get a sound. And eventually it occurred to me that he had really messed up my lip. And I looked at it, and there was a significant dark red section there. And it caused me some problems for, I don't remember now, but longer than I would have liked. And it was starting to really scare me a bit, and so I finally thought, I just got to go back to square one. I started playing long tones and playing real easily and trying to expand what was working for me. And the primary focus I had then was using Jacobs' idea of moving the air and trying to think of the sound and not think of how it felt physically. And it was really helpful. And I think I still have some scar tissue that every once in a while it bothers me more than it does other times. But again, usually that's if you put the focus on his stuff, you usually work your way out of it.
Yeah, put the focus on the music, the sound, and the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bud, thanks so much for letting us come in. It's a short visit, but I think it's really interesting, and I hope the viewers will too. I think it really speaks to the tremendous impact that he could have.
Yeah.
On not just the student in front of him at the time, but
right.
people that are sitting there taking notes.
Yeah. I think he was, his reputation was more than well deserved for that reason, because you figure he's a great teacher. Okay, there are a lot of great teachers, and they're great.
Yeah.
But he was something kind of special, like beyond that, just an inspiration to everybody he came in contact with. So he, and certainly, you and everybody else around the country who are playing in orchestras around the country, he's just got this huge flowering of what he had to offer.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
He was a pretty interesting guy.
Well, Puddles has come bearing gifts, and he'd love for you to enjoy this matched set of University of Oregon duck bags.
We could use that. I think we won't get too much flack about that in New York City.
No.
If the Boston Red Sox or something, we'd get in trouble.
Yeah, that's true. But thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure. Same here.
And now back to you.